Hello, I am Noor Soffyan bin Abdul Razak. I am from group 1 for this presentation. So now in this video, our group will be explain about the anatomy and physiology of nervous system. But firstly, I will talk about the structure and classification of the neurons. Neuron is a highly specialized cell which is important to coordinate our body, whether it is externally or internally. Alright, for the structure of the neuron, as we can see from the slide and the picture given, then it's the structure of the neurons. There are three main parts of the neuron. First, we will see soma or cell body, then is dendrites, and the last part is axon. For the soma, it contains DNA, it contains nucleus. Nucleus, it will hold the genetic materials in the form of DNA. And also soma contains organelles like mitochondria and ribosomes. These two organelles is important for energy production and protein synthesis. Next, I will talk about the dendrites. Dendrite is like a branch like which is extend from the soma. It is important to accept the impulse from other neurons or sensory receptor and it will carry into the soma. So next I will talk about the axon of the neuron. In the axon we will see there is a projection line which is extended from the soma into its terminals. As you can see in the axon structure there are so many myelin sheath covered. Myelin sheath is important to cover the axon from any physical injury, physical damage. Next is there's a gap between myelin sheath, which is called as node of Revere. Node of Revere, there's ion exchange happen there, and it can make the signal, electrical signal, it will jump from one node of Revere to another node of Revere, which is called excitatory conduction. And the connection between the soma and axon, the structure here, it is called as axon hill, which is the initiation of the action potential. And lastly, at the axon of the terminal, you can see that there's another branch which is called a synapse. Synapse will release the neurotransmitter and it will be transferred to the another neurons or muscle or glands. Alright, that's all for the structure of the neurons. Well, now let's talk about the classification of neurons. There are two classifications of neurons I will explain in this video, which are based on their shape and arrangement of their process and one based on their function. Alright, based on their shape and arrangement of the process, we have unipolar, bipolar, and multipolar. For unipolar, we can see that unipolar only have one process extend from the soma, and it will be branched into two, which is axon and dendrite. This is commonly found in the peripheral nervous system, or we can see example like sensory neuron. Next, we have bipolar neuron. Bipolar neuron, it has two processes extend from soma, which is it has one axon and one dendrite. Right. This can be found at the special organs such as our eyes and our retina. Next is multipolar neuron. Multipolar neuron is a typical common neurons. You can see just like the structure I explained before. There is multipolar neurons because it has so many processes extend from soma. This means it has many dendrites and it has many axon too, but it is one axon. So this is commonly found at the central nervous system. And lastly, I will talk about the classification of neurons based on their function. There are only three neurons which are classified into their function. There are sensory neurons, motor neurons, and interneurons. First, I will talk about sensory neurons. Its function is to transmit the electrical impulse from the sensory sensory receptor to the central nervous system. This is mostly their shape are unipolar or bipolar. Next, we have motor neurons. Motor neurons, its function is to transmit the signal from the central nervous system to the glands or muscles. Mostly their structure are multipolar neuron. And lastly, we have interneuron. Interneuron is the interconnector between the sensory neuron and the motor neuron. And mostly the interneuron, it can be found at the central nervous system. And their shape is also same as the motor neuron because it is like multipolar neurons. And that's all the structure and classification of neurons I explained in this video. And next will be explained by another student. Thank you.
Hi guys, my name is Keat. So welcome to the neuroglia part. So you guys might wonder what's the difference between neuroglia and also neurons. Well, aren't they the same? Well, the answer basically is no. Alright, so what is the function between these two? So let's talk about neurons. Neurons, basically their function is to receive signals, integrate signals, and also communicate it with the signals. Whereas for the neuroglia, they kind of function oppositely, which is they also known as the glial cells. They actually are non-excitable cells of the central nervous system, and they basically do not generate it or transmit the nerve impulse. So let's focus the part on neuroglia. So basically neuroglia are also known as the glial cells, like what I mentioned just now. They are the cells that basically support the nervous system by maintaining homeostasis. Their primary function basically is to keep the nervous system in a functional state. So neuroglia perform a variety of functions, including the most famous, which is structural support. So let me just explain about it, why it's so important that basically neuroglia function as the structural support. So neuroglia provide a structure for neurons to inhabit. So the neuroglia basically provides support and protect the neurons. And it also provides nutrition as well. And it also insulation and helps with signal transmission in the nervous system. So neuroglia typically participate in a lot of activities of the nervous system as well. Second, which is homeostasis. So homeostasis, neuroglia maintain a stable internal environment for neurons by regulating their ions, neurotransmitter, and also the neurohormones as well. So it's very important that basically it need to maintain the equilibrium balance between the hormone, the neurotransmitter, and also regulation of ion as well. Next up, which is the myelination. So neuroglia basically create the myelin sheath, which speeds up the electrical impulses in the nervous system as well. Next up, which is the protection. So I'm not going to deny that when you have a support, you are going to be the one who protect the neurons. So neuroglia basically will help to destroy the pathogens and protect the neurons. As we know that basically when there's one of the neuroglia, which is named astrocytes, that basically combined with the capillaries in the blood, that basically the neuroglia function is to maintain that the blood from the microorganism will not gonna destroy the neurons, and also the neuroglia basically plays an important role that destroys all the pathogens and the microorganisms from the capillaries as well. Next up, which is guidance. So basically for neuroglia, during the brain and spinal cord development, the radial glia basically guide the neurons from the geminous layers. Next up, which is the blood-brain barrier. So as you know that basically neuroglia maintain the permeability of the blood-brain barrier by basically regulating the flow of glucose and also ions into and out of the brain. Next up, the last one, which is the glymphatic pathway. So neuroglia basically can help to regulate the glymphatic pathway, which is the brain lymphatic system. So that's all for the neuroglia functions. As you know that they play a lot of crucial roles that basically help us to maintain all the nervous system to keep up the balance and make it more functional. So do you guys know that basically how many types of neuroglia basically exist in our nervous system? Let me know about it. Well, I will pass up to another person to more detail about it, how basically and how many types of neuroglia basically can be discovered from the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. Stay tuned.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Ammar and my part of the presentation is the central nervous system. Specifically, the type of neuroglia of the central nervous system. There are 4 types, which is astrocytes, oligodendrocytes, ependymal cells, and microglial cells. The first one, astrocytes, the one on the top left, the blue one. The astrocytes are star-shaped cells that support neurons, anchor them to the nutrient supply lines, and guide the migration of young neurons. The second one, which is oligodendrocytes, the one on the top right, is cells that produce myelin, which is an insulating sheath around the axon of nerve fibers. The third one, ependymal cells, the one look like a line, a bunch of cells in a line, are cells that line the vertical of central nervous system and the central canal of spinal cord and help circulate the cerebral spinal fluid. Last one is the microglial cells. Microglial cells are just cells that monitor the health of neuron, regulate the brain development, and maintain the neuronal networks. Microglia can also transform into macrophage to clear up neuronal debris. That's all from me. On to the next one.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is Afrina and today I will present my part that is brain. Okay, brain is divided into 4 major parts, that is cerebrum, cerebellum, brainstem and also diencephalon. Okay, the first part is cerebrum. Okay, based on this 3D picture, all of this is cerebrum. Cerebrum is divided into 2 hemispheres. This is second hemisphere and this is the first hemisphere and this is the second hemisphere. And this 2 hemisphere is divided by this longitudinal tissue. Okay, cerebrum is the largest part of the brain. Okay. Other than that, cerebrum also divided into 4 lobes, that is frontal lobe, temporal lobes, parietal lobes and occipital lobes. Based on this picture, the purple one is frontal lobe, the yellow one is parietal lobe, and the blue one is occipital lobe, and the orange one is temporal lobe. The second part of brain is cerebellum. Okay, based on the slide, the cerebellum is this. This is cerebellum. Okay. Okay, cerebellum is the largest part of hindbrain. The function of cerebellum is to harmonize, muscle tone, graduate and also maintain our normal body posture. The third major part of brain is brainstem. Based on this picture, this is the brainstem. From this to this. Okay, what the fuck? Okay, brainstem is consists of 3 parts. That is midbrain, pons and medulla. Okay, in midbrain consists of cell bodies and nerve fiber. Okay, the function of this midbrain is to connect between cerebrum and the lower part of brain. How it can connect it? Because okay, this is midbrain. This is midbrain and midbrain is located in here. So this is cerebellum and this is lower part of brain. So midbrain will connect between cerebrum and lower part of brain. The second part of brainstem is pons. Okay, pons is the middle part of the brainstem and consists of only nerve fiber. Okay, this nerve fiber will form bridge between cerebellum and hemisphere. The third part of brainstem is medulla. Okay, medulla is located between spinal cord and pons. Okay, this is pons, this is spinal cord and this is medulla. Vital centers such as respiratory, cardiac center, vasomotor center and also reflex center is present in medulla. So the process ongoing about the vital center is starting in this medulla. The last part of brain is diencephalon. Diencephalon is central core of the brain and diencephalon consists of 4 parts, that is epithalamus, thalamus, subthalamus and hypothalamus. These 4 parts have their own function. This is thalamus, This is epithalamus and this is hypothalamus. Okay. The function of epithalamus is produce melatonin that acts as body biological clock. As for thalamus, it acts as cell station for all the sensory system of our body. Other than that, for subthalamus, it will associated with motor control and movement of our body. So for hypothalamus, it obviously for controlling homeostasis. So that's all from me. I will pass to Yong.
I'm very glad to talk about a topic with a vital organ, spinal cord. I will discuss about 4 topics: the basic introduction, the function, the relative disease, and spinal cord transplantation and donation. Okay, let's talk about the first. What's the spinal cord? Spinal cord is a soft tissue located inside the bone cavity. Spinal cord is the source of life and it supports our body to run. Every day, the spinal cord in our body produces about 200 billion red blood cells, 10 billion white blood cells, and 25 billion platelets. These blood cells are distributed to every corner of the body, maintain oxygen delivery, immune system defense, and post-traumatic repair. Then the spinal cord divides into right spinal cord and yellow spinal cord. Red spinal cord is the core of hematopoietic production, which is responsible for the production of red blood cells and white blood cells and platelets that support our body's survival and the normal function of the immune system. Yellow spinal cord is mainly responsible for storing fats and providing energy reserve for the body. With age, red spinal cord gradually decreases and eventually converts to yellow spinal cord, but hematopoietic function is always its core mission. Let's move to the main function. First, hematopoietic function. Red blood cells are the boats in our river of life, transporting oxygen for the lungs to every cell in the body. White blood cells are the gradients, always protecting us from germs and barriers. Platelets are menders that quickly gather when wounds appear, helping to stop bleeding and promote wound healing. If the spinal cord function is impaired, this basic function will collapse. Second, the immune defense. Spinal cord is the birthplace of immune cells, which are the body's first line of defense against internal threats. The spinal cord produces white blood cells and lymphocytes are constantly on patrol, monitoring the body for inviting pathogens. When they see danger, they act quickly to protect ourselves. Third, the support regenerative capacity. Spinal cord stem cells have a strong ability to regenerate and differentiate, whether it's the renewal of blood cells or the recovery after injury. Spinal cord is always the silent repair behind. Then, like any other organ, spinal cord will have problems. First, leukemia. Abnormal proliferation of white blood cells in the spinal cord resulting in limited production of normal blood cells. Second, aplastic anemia. Spinal cord is unable to produce enough blood cells, leading to an increased risk of anemia, infection, and bleeding. And the third is multiple myeloma. Abnormal proliferation of plasma cells in the spinal cord, causing several damage to the bones and immune system. The fourth is osteomyelitis, usually caused by a bacterial infection, is characterized by bone pain, fever, and local inflammation. The last part, spinal cord transplantation and donation. A spinal cord transplant is a life-saving medical miracle. By transplanting healthy spinal cord stem cells, damaged spinal cord can be replaced, allowing patients to regain hematopoietic and immune function. However, a spinal cord transplant requires a high bone marrow match between the donor and the patient, and the probability of such a match is usually very low, between about 1 in 400 and 1 in 1000. Therefore, the existence of spinal cord donors is particularly important. With the development of medicine, spinal cord donation has become safer and more convenient. So how to participate in spinal cord donation? First, register as a volunteer with a professional organization. Second, perform a simple mouth swab or blood sample collection for initial matching. Third, if the match is successful, further confirm the health status and donate, so you can saving countless lives. So it's all of my past spinal cord. Thank you.
Hi and Assalamualaikum guys. So I will be talking about protection of central nervous system. So the protection of central nervous system consists of three things, which are meninges, cerebrospinal fluid, and blood-brain barrier. So meninges. What do we know about meninges? Meninges is a three-membrane that line the skull and vertebral canal, which enclose the brain and the spinal cord. So the first layer of the meninges is called the dura mater. So dura mater is the outermost layer of the meninges, and it is a double-layered membrane that is thick, dense, and irregular. So we can divide the dura mater into two layers, which are periosteal layer and the meningeal layer. The periosteal layer is attached to the innermost surface of the skull, meanwhile the meningeal layer is attached to the outermost covering of the brain. Then we have the second membrane, which is called arachnoid mater. The arachnoid mater is a delicate, impermeable, and avascular membrane. It is located in between the dura mater and the pia mater, which pia mater internally and the dura mater externally. The outer and inner cells consist of flattened mesothelial cells. Then we have the pia mater, which is thin and transparent membrane that adhere to the surface of spinal cord. It is a vascular membrane and consists of mesothelial cells. Then, apart from the meninges, we also have falx cerebri and tentorium cerebelli. Falx cerebri is fold that attaches the brain to the cranial cavity, meanwhile the tentorium cerebelli separates the cerebellum from the cerebrum. Next, we have cerebrospinal fluid, or we call as CSF. So CSF contains vitamin C, glucose, and protein, which are the nutrients needed from the brain in the central nervous system. So the function of CSF is to form watery cushion and protect fragile nervous tissue from blows and trauma. And the normal volume for the fluid in a human body is around 150 milliliter. Lastly, we have blood-brain barrier. So the blood-brain barrier functions to separate the neurons from blood-borne substances such as metabolic substances like toxin, urea, protein, or drugs. The allowed substances in the brain are such as water-soluble substances, water, glucose, or amino acids. That's all from me. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Unyang. Here I'm going to present you guys about peripheral nerve system, also known as PNS. So, guys, have you ever wondered how your body communicates with the world? Every movement you make, every sensation you feel, and every beat of your heart involve a complex yet fascinating network of communication. So let's dive into the amazing peripheral nerve system. So here are three subtopics I'm going to present you guys about function, type, and the role of Neuroglia. So guys, let me tell you what is the PNS. It is a vast network of nerves extending from the brain and spinal cord. It connects every part of your body to the central nervous system, or known as CNS, acting as a bike. Unlike the CNS, which is protected by the skull and spine, the PNS spreads out freely, reaching muscle, skin, and organ. Think of it as a highway system, a web and road trying between messages to keep your message body function simply. So guys, let me tell you about function of peripheral nerve system. The peripheral nerve system has two primary functions, which is sensory input and motor output. For sensory input, it gathers information from human senses like touch, temperature, and pain, then send it to brain. Let's imagine you guys touch a hot stove. Instantly, nerves in your finger detect the heat and send a signal to your brain, alerting you to put away your hand, and that is the sensory input action. For motor output is carry commands from the brain and spinal cord to the muscle. Let me give you guys an example. Like you guys want to walking around, your brain send a command start motor nerve system to your leg muscle and allowing you to move. Now move to the type of the PNS. The PNS have two key divisions. That is somatic and autonomic system. For somatic system, this system is under human control. It is handles voluntary movement. It manages voluntary movement like you want to kick a ball. Its movement begins a thought in your brain and it's carried out by nerve and muscle working in harmony. The next one is the autonomic system. The system works automatically, regulating the vital function. Autonomic system have two subdivisions, which is sympathetic nerve system and parasympathetic nerve system. For sympathetic nerve system is carry signal to put our body system on alert, while a parasympathetic nerve system is carry signal to relax the system. Supporting this incredible system are specialized cells called Neuroglia. They answer the PNS function effectively. Satellite cells. These cells are found in ganglia, clusters of neuron cell bodies. Satellite cells surround the neuron, providing structural support, regulating nutrients, and protecting them from harm. Swan cell. These are protectors from axons. They wrap around the nerve fiber to form a myelin sheath and layer that speed up nerve signal transmission. Without swan cell, communication between the brain and body would be sluggish and inefficient. They also play the key role in nerve repair injured. So the peripheral nerve system is truly remarkable. Connect every corner of our body to command center in our brain and spinal cord. It is the silent hero that keeps us to move, feeling and shivering. So next time when you take a step and take a deep breathing, remember to thanks to PNS or peripheral nerve system. That's all from me. Thank you.
Hi, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nooraida Binti Azman. I'm nutrition year 1. So today I'm going to share with you guys about process of the nervous system. So based on the diagram above, as you can see, there's a few components that you need to remember. That's mean what are going to enhance your basic knowledge. Alright, first, here is there's a fire and also the fingers. The finger stick on the fire is a stimulus. And what happened is our pain receptor on our fingers is going to detect the stimulus and transform it into a nerve impulse. What happened to the nerve impulse? Nerve impulse are going to be sent to our brain, and then our brain are going to interpret and also integrate the nerve impulse, and the nerve impulse will be sent back to the effector on our hands to what? To produce a reaction where we are going to draw back our hands from the fire to avoid any injury. That's it. Now let's move on. The picture above shows that how the impulse transmission is interpreted. First is that with action potential alarm and sanity now. So even in instant capability of sanity now to calcium ion. So what happens is the influx of calcium ion will cause cause the synaptic vesicle that containing neuron transmitter to move and fuse to the presynaptic membrane. This causing the synaptic vesicle to release neurotransmitter into the synaptic cleft by exocytosis. Synaptic vesicle just now moving up to the cytoplasm to do what? To refill. And then what happened to neurotransmitter? Neurotransmitter will attach to the special receptor on the postsynaptic membrane. This will cause the opening of sodium ion channel and also potassium ion channel, that causing the sodium ion channel to diffuse into the postsynaptic membrane and potassium to leave the postsynaptic, lead to the depolarization. What happens next is the influx of the sodium ion will build a charge that we know as a EPSP, or excitatory postsynaptic potential. Okay, then EPSP will continue firing until it reaches the threshold. This threshold will produce action potential, an electrical impulse that need by our body.
Thank you. That's all from me.
Hello and greetings. My name is Mohamad Ariff bin Mohamad Zaki. In this video, I'll be presenting about neuroblastoma and what you need to know about it. Without further ado, let's get into it. Neuroblastoma, a word you might not hear often, but for some families, it is life-changing. It is a rare type of cancer that primarily affects children under the age of 5. The word neuroblastoma comes from Greek and Latin, with neuro means nerve, blast refers to immature cells, and oma indicates a tumor. Neuroblastoma develops from immature nerve cells called neuroblasts. These cells are part of sympathetic nervous system, which controls the heart rate and the digestion. Normally, neuroblasts mature and disappear after birth, but in neuroblastoma, they grow with consistent rate to form a tumor. The exact causes or factors for neuroblastoma are still unknown, but researchers believe there are two main factors that lead to the development of this cancer. The first factor is age. Most cases of neuroblastoma are diagnosed in children between the ages of 1, 2, and 90% of the cases between the age of 5. The second factor is heredity. 1 to 2% of neuroblastoma cases seems to be the result of gene inherited from a parent. Children with familial neuroblastoma usually have one or more family members who had history of neuroblastoma as an infant. The most common site for neuroblastoma to develop is usually in the adrenal gland, which is located above the kidneys. However, it can also occur in other areas such as chest, neck, and spinal cord. The symptoms of neuroblastoma vary depending on the tumor's location. Common signs include a lump or swelling in the abdomen or chest, pain or difficulty in breathing, fatigue, weight loss, or fever.